Yeah, so I'll talk about one of my favorite indie hacker stories. It's called Key Values, www.keyvalues.com. So this is a site that helps engineers find teams that actually share their values. So if you think about being an engineer, you're looking for a job, often the number one thing you care about is salary, location, stuff like that. But increasingly, people want to work at companies that actually share their values, right? Are these places that practice inclusion? Are these places that have good work-life balance? Are these places that are good for parents? Or maybe you want the opposite of all these things. Regardless, you can go to Key Values and basically select from a list of your values, and it'll pull up some of the best tech companies that align with the values that you want to see.
Oh my Lord,
and
this is brilliant.
It's great. And I think probably the most inspiring thing about it, I mean, you look at some of the companies that are on here, GitHub, Asana, Webflow, Airtable, Y Combinator, Instacart. But this is all done by one person. Her name is Lynn Tai. She's like the prototypical indie hacker. She doesn't have any co-founders. She doesn't have any employees. She just sort of by herself in her apartment, working on the site, onboarding all the companies, doing all the sales, and it more than pays for her salary. It's a very profitable one-person company. And she actually came from kind of outside of the tech world. She had nothing to do with tech. And she ended up getting her first tech job at HomeJoy. So HomeJoy, if you remember, was kind of the Uber for home cleaning back in the day. They raised a ton of money. Very controversial. There was a ton of money. They were growing like a rocket ship, but they were also burning a ton of money too. And they eventually kind of imploded. And while she was there, she saw that, hey, like she had this job as kind of like a city opener, and she was very operational. She was kind of the glue that would tie the different organizations, have sales, talk to HR, talk to the engineers, et cetera. But she just saw how well the engineers are being treated. And she's like, well, this is like a chump job that I'm doing. I need to learn how to code and do my own thing. So she spent a year learning how to code. And at the end of it, she was trying to get her job herself. And she just didn't like how opaque the process was. You had to jump through so many hoops as an engineer before you could even talk to anybody in the team and figure out, like, what's it actually going to be like to work at this place? And so she had the idea to create keyvalues.com. And I think the first 10 or 20 companies she onboarded were completely free. And then she ended up going through Y Combinator herself, but she had a very indie hacker mindset. She wasn't sure if she wanted to go big. She wasn't sure if she wanted to become $1 billion unicorn. She really wanted something that would just make her life better and the lives of her customers better. And so at the end of YC, she didn't do demo day. And the partners were not very happy about it. They really wanted her to do demo day, but she didn't raise a dime. I don't think she even touched the money that she raised initially from YC. She just started doing sales. So to get a profile on keyvalues.com, I think it's 5 or 10 grand a year these companies are paying. And she does a little bit of upfront work to sort of get them featured and to make sure that their profiles, actually reflect the values that they have as a company. But after that, it's pretty hands off. And I interviewed her on Indie Hackers, and she was making, I think, 80 or 90 grand a quarter just putting up these profiles for herself. And she's gotten quite a few acquisition offers as well. So this is one of my favorite stories. I think it's like the way it's transformed her life has been pretty significant. And all the companies using it, it's super valuable for them because it's not just sort of lead gen for hiring engineers, but also like their recruiters are putting a link to their profiles at the bottom of their outgoing emails. And it's forced them to be a lot more thoughtful about, what kinds of places they want to be as companies to work at.
Pretty great. I mean, when you look at what they're actually asking people, hey, do you want to be in a B2B or a B2C company? Do you want one that's remote? Okay. Something ideal for parents, work-life balance, one that is, design driven, et cetera. What a brilliant, simple idea, and what a simple, brilliant economic model. You give the first 10 away for free, then everybody's got to be up there. It's hyper competitive, and she underpriced it, right? If she's only charging $5,000 or $10,000 a year, that's less than what you would pay when you convert one, but one developer. And if you convert one developer a year, that makes it well worth it. And just being able to state your values, like you're saying, is just a great way to have clarity inside your organization. It's a clarifying tool for your organization, right? But that's what I read into it, was that sales strategy of underpricing. Yeah. Daniel, any thoughts on key values?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think there's, to me, I feel like there's this interesting migration of like 1.0 of internet review sites to kind of the 2.0. And, Glassdoor comes to mind as like the way people currently decide, where to work. And you get a sense from, Glassdoor just how big this type of thing can get. But as these companies get big, like you have all these weird stories that you hear about Yelp and you hear about Amazon too. The reviews being distorted, they hold companies hostage, all sorts of weird stuff start happening. And that, I think, devalues the currency of the review.
Yes.
And And so I think you can actually see across every industry, be it job selection, which is what Key Values is doing. I imagine this will happen to product search, in the future as people lose faith in Amazon reviews. And I imagine, this has kind of already happened with Yelp reviews, kind of meaning less and less over time, especially compared to Google reviews. There are all sorts of these, I think, new platforms that will hopefully provide. I think the interesting thing for her to reason is, as she becomes successful, how does she ensure things are high quality and trustworthy? Because there does seem to be the economic incentive is, at some point, I think, potentially going to compromise the quality of the reviews. So having kind of rigid founder grip strength there, I think, will matter quite a bit. And wouldn't surprise me if 2, 3, 4 years from now, we see this becoming kind of more impactful than Glassdoor.
I am in love with a new product. It's called ChartHop. It's new to me. I mean, it's been around, to be honest. Many of you are already using it. You can go see it at charthop.com/twist. When you want to create an organizational chart for your company, this is a critical moment that shows you are venture fundable. If you know, these are my top executives, these are my units, this is my group that's going to do customer support, this is my marketing group, this is my CTO, this is finance, this is operations. Well, you can do all that and make like some cruddy little drawing with like some painting program or sketching program, or you can make your own org chart that has all the data around all of your people. We call this people data. We call it human capital in the industry. But in this org chart, you can also put in performance reviews right into the org chart. And you centralize all the data there, and you can build a nice, agile, adaptable, and inclusive team, because you can look and say, hey, where's my diversity? How am I doing with building out my organization? And at the core, a startup is about people. We all know that. Go to charthop.com/twist and try it out today. You're going to get $600 in credits. I talked to the founders. I talked to the marketing team over there, and I said, just give people hundreds of dollars. Just come over the top and just grab a handful of hundies and throw them at the audience. Well, here it is, charthop.com/twist, $600 in credits. Go and get it. Set up now. Basically, that $600 is going to cover your first 5 employees on the platform, which makes it no-brainer to get started. Go ahead and check out ChartHop, ChartHop.com/twist for $600. Get it now, because I don't know if they're going to keep that offer up.